Hello, Rosie. It's so good to have you here. I'm so excited.
I'm so happy to be here finally with you, Donna. Thanks for having me.
So for all the listeners, you really want to listen from start to finish with this one. And Rosie is from Happiness Lifestyle. I met Rosie back it was on the Gold Coast uh, in 2017, about 2017. I don't know, time's flying. It really is flying. And when I met Rosie, we were at a seminar at a hotel. And I remember this distinctly because, Rosie, you were introduced to me and you had walked the Camino. So
Wasn't I? Yeah, and I was really excited because I found out that you were actually wanting to walk it. Yes.
yeah. And I had plans, and I fell in love with the idea of going on the Camino. So I was just super excited. And we connected the same as I connected with Ron, and I've already had him on the podcast as well, which was awesome. And we've just stayed in touch. And I also have done your Rise and Thrive. I'm part of your Awakened Tribe. We've done coaching together. And, look, if I want to be honest, you saved my life. You were a real contributing factor to saving my life with everything that I was going through. So I will be forever grateful to you. And today we're doing, the topic for today is spirituality and what does this mean and how to live a life of purpose. So first of all, introduce yourself, tell us a bit about you, and especially what you're doing through these times, because we've got lots of really powerful questions to get through as well.
Okay, wow, it's big. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Rosie. I'm a transformational leadership and master coach. I predominantly work with business owners and leaders, and I basically help them reclaim their wholeness. So that's unlocking our true selves so that we can step into our next level success. And my journey started, it started 13 plus years ago, really, when I was hit with not one, but two incurable diseases. I had a whole host of health issues. So this is how I came into this industry. To begin with, I was in a totally different life. I had 700 people working for me. I was in corporate, in a constructions company, if you can believe. So completely different industry. And when life basically smacked me around the head with a cold dose of reality, that's when I knew my life needed to change. And this is what led me on my own personal journey. And since then, after building my own successful six-figure product and service-based business, people started coming to me for business advice and helping them to get to their next level. Like, how did you do it? I want what you have. And essentially, this is the involvement and where I'm at now in what I do. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think word of mouth, especially with your Rise and Thrive circle, is awesome because, I remember when I did it and I met some beautiful women who I'm still in contact with today, not only on the Awakened Tribe, but I actually have personal contact with one other lady here in Canberra, Dana, who's just so beautiful. And so that really personally impacted me, and I tell everyone about it. And so when we met and we did that 10-week program, 10 or 12.
That's right. Well, it you know me, so it's 10 weeks, but you got 12. You guys got bonuses, yeah. Yes.
Because there's just so much, and and so much evolves throughout that process. And then the other thing we have in common, which is the Camino. And you told me about when you did it and the impact on you, and I had already made the decision to do it at the time that we met. But when I did it and leading up to doing it, especially repacking my backpack so it was right, and but the most amazing thing was you meeting me in the square at Santiago de Compostela. That was just truly incredible and so emotional. And then we did a ceremony in front of the massive cathedral, which all of these things will just impact my life you know, the Awakened Tribe, Rise and Thrive, the Camino, all of these have had massive impacts on my life. So, you know, I'm just so excited. And so I've got a couple of really good questions for you, and I'll go through, but we may digress as we do
I'm
often.
Sure. Yes.
So describe 2020 in a sentence for you personally.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, when I first came on with you, we were just talking about how big this year was. So in one sentence, how do you do that? So there is a fire. This is how I'm going to describe it. There's a fire in my belly this entire year, and it's been nothing short of epic in every sense of that word.
Yeah, I hear you. And, you know, for those of you who are listening and you're frowning right now and going, what are you talking about? This has been horrible. And I'm sorry, I resonate totally with Rosie. Yep, things have changed, stuff's happened. But, and one of the reasons I probably do have a different perspective is because I am part of Rosie's tribe, and we as a tribe have really held space for each other. Rosie has been amazing holding space for her tribe and doing meditations and really asking the questions of, like, what is bad? What is, you know, think about what you're doing. And I have to say, I totally agree that it's been an epic year. And I haven't gotten plugged into the news. I haven't gotten plugged into the fear. And, you know, I mean, I've made sure my parents are safe. That was my biggest priority. But at the end of the day, we're sensible and life goes on, and you do what you do, and you don't wallow in self-pity, and you don't live in fear. So I totally resonate with that. Describe 2020 in a sentence for your community. First of all, describe your community, and then,
Okay. Yeah. So first, I really agree with what you just said, because we are in a profound time of collective healing. So for my community are the aware, awakened, what we say, but in the spiritual context of what that means is being awake to the truth of who we really are, without our identities on everything, you know. And so this is really rising above all of the fear, rising above the noise, rising above everything that says otherwise, and really standing firm in our lighthouse, in our powerful energy, so that we can radiate that out to the world. So essentially my community are leaders, they are entrepreneurs, they are people who also have their own community and their own tribes, which they need to serve as well. And so in a sense, the collective that I'm in is really helping my leaders be the lighthouses, so that they can be that beacon in their own communities, if that makes sense. So there's that. And then what can I say around 2020 for them? It's that it's shaping up to be a profound year of transformation, individually and collectively, as well as for the planet. And I'm sure many of our, you know, your listeners, Donna, probably feel like, no, it's been darkness and chaos and challenge, right? But actually, it's a very light year energetically. And because it's a light vibrational year, all that's not in alignment with that kind of frequency is being activated and brought to the surface. So anything that's not resolved, anything that's not here, or not healed, needs to be healed. So,
And that's a really, like, you know, we talk like this because we live like this. But for my listeners who are going, what are they talking about? What is this healing? What is this rising above? And, you know, all I say to people is be open to thinking in a different way. If you're really stuck and you don't want to feel the way you're feeling, you've really got to look at a different perspective and a different way to look at life, live life, and also see life in a different way. And you know, and that can be challenging, but that's why we have Rosie. That's why we have the Awakened Tribe. That's why we, you know, stick together and help each other, because we don't all get it right all the time. We don't all feel okay all the time. Like, we're all human, but we know to reach out to the right people, which I think is really super important. So All right. So in your industry and as an entrepreneur, what have been some of the challenges of not only COVID-19? Remember, we had fires, and I know that you were at that time in Spain, which we were all following that with such love and joy, and so happy to share that. So, and of course, leading up to the pandemic, it hit people in your community in Queensland and of course here in New South Wales. So, you know, what has been some of the really significant challenges?
Yeah, so the fear was already there before the pandemic hit. So already in my community, it was centered around how can we move on? How do we go from here? What do we do from here? And many people couldn't, like, there's many business owners that were like, I had planned to launch my program, or I had planned to do this, and I feel like I can't do that because of everything that's going on, you know? And I get that because of what's happening. It's almost like, if we keep moving forward in our businesses, if we keep promoting ourselves, if we keep selling, if we keep doing all of those things, won't that kind of be, I don't know, flippant or not compassionate toward what's going on? Yeah. So that's been the biggest, in that, how do we keep moving forward, especially with us being in such a storm, or such a, you know what I mean? And it was really dropping in to be the eye of the storm. So staying grounded no matter what is going on around us. And essentially that's what needs to happen. And right before any big change, Donna, so this is not just for the situation outside of us. And of course, for your listeners, the biggest thing that's playing out, it's never the situation around us, it's fear.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, something bad's happening, fear. It's fear from within us. So there's fear of judgment, rejection, there's fear of circumstances of health and all of that came with COVID. But there's also deep fears, like our limiting belief fears, like I'm not good enough, what if I fail beliefs, fears, you know, especially those who have businesses, they went into massive panic and fear. And it was really being able to navigate that. So that's what's within us that needed to be healed or flushed to the surface, essentially. So self-criticism, comparison, perfectionism, self-doubt, all of those things, even symptoms that are physical or emotional, are all signs of the deeper things, the deeper kind of fear that's at play that we need to heal. Yeah. And so everything that was happening outside of us was all basically an invitation to go within and to do that work from within.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I did see a lot of the, you know, how can I sell? How can I justify offering my product and service? But I will tell you, I have still invested in my education and my professional development. I have still taken opportunities to do things. I mean, I have had a blast with my podcast and been able to do more episodes than I probably would have been able to do. And I remember when I lost all of the training I had just got, and of course, you know, a fair bit to my backstory, in the sense that, you know, I had lost everything last year, but I hadn't really lost everything. And I remember, for you guys listening out there, imagine Rosie telling me, Donna, one day you will see this as a blessing. And I've looked at it, gone, right, I'll see this as a blessing, will I? And I do see this as a blessing. What happened last year was supposed to happen. It was time. And, you know, and going and doing the Camino, it was time. Finding myself again and being able to have a really different perspective on life, you know, it was time. And then this year, even when I lost all the face-to-face training that I was just about to deliver, I got some of it back via Zoom. Not all of it, but I got some of it. So I was very grateful for that. And that enabled me to still deliver training. So I went, okay, I'm going to still deliver training. I'm going to make sure I'm still keeping my skills fresh. My mindset is fresh. I'm not going to be dragged down with everything that's going on. It's happening. And the one thing is, I can't change it. So therefore, I just need to be in the circle of influence, not the circle of concern.
That's right.
I can't tell you how many times, that come up. And on the day you were talking about that, I actually had the Stephen Covey book open because I was delivering that the next day. So that was quite timely.
Yeah, it's been huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So what have been some of the greatest learnings of the past 6 months for you as a leader?
Not having my identity tied to anything. So the learnings for me was really, well, first of all, I'll retrace my steps. So the lighthouse. The biggest thing for me is, and this is a question I had to ask myself over and over again, especially at the beginning when everything was blowing up, everybody was coming to me, right? And I found myself rescuing and saving and trying to help and fix and all of that sort of stuff. And so for me, it was really, Rosie, do you want to be the lighthouse or do you want to be the lifeboat? And every time I ask myself that, it goes, okay, no, I'm not in that boat saving people. I'm the lighthouse. I stand there shining. And that's all I need to do right now. Be that lighthouse, be that rock, be that beacon for those that are needing that or looking for the way.
Say that again, Rosie. You wanted to be the what? Not the what?
Not the lifeboat.
Yeah. So the lighthouse. Yeah.
So do you want to be the lighthouse or the lifeboat? Because so often, and it's just not just in leaders, but everybody that goes, oh, I need to help, or I need to fix, or I need to rescue, or I need to save you because there's, you know what I mean? And that's actually coming from sympathy and not empathy. There's a difference between those two. Yes. So the biggest thing for me was standing as the lighthouse, as that pillar, and not the lifeboat, which is so easy for me to get caught up in.
Yeah, I think it's easy for us, especially us women who are entrepreneurial and leadership, and especially I was using the lifeboat for a long time with children and other situations, and especially my staff at work when I had my facility. Yeah, so I totally resonate with that.
Yeah, and where that's coming from is because there's parts of ourselves that are not fully healed. And so what happens is we go, oh, I'll feel better if I fix such and such as problem. So everything's smoke and mirror, right? So our reality and what we see, oh, we need to help them, but actually we just need to heal ourselves. And then we're not needing to rescue. There's perfection in suffering. I know that's probably hard to wrap our heads around, but there is so much perfection in suffering, and that's their journey, and that for us to even go in, we're disrupting their journey, their lessons, their learnings, and what they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those of you who are listening right now, I don't want you to jump straight into, when Rosie says there's perfection in suffering, don't go to your worst kind of suffering straight away and go, there's no perfection in that. No, you really have to put that into context, and it is so true, because when we are suffering through something, we have the ability to learn and grow, and without that suffering, would we have learned? Would we have grown?
That's right. So that's what resilience is in every meaning of that word. So it's almost like thinking back over your life, everything perceived or that you perceived to be bad, what did that lead to? Because when I look back over in my life, everything that I went through in my suffering led me to where I am today. I thank my past relationship that was abusive. Why? Because I wouldn't even be doing the work I'm doing today if that hadn't happened.
Yes.
So that's the next thing. And when you're in it, it's really hard to see. I mean, look, the hindsight, the 2020 is always in the hindsight, right? So it's really knowing the gift. And when we face, go on.
But that really leads to something significant. And that is that, like, there was some suffering that I couldn't work through. Therefore, I reached out to you. Yes. Right. So we all, when we get stuck in it and it's in our head and it's running in our head all the time, sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees, or get out of that. So it's really important to go, well, who do I reach out to? And, I'll get you to answer this question. If someone was saying, who do I reach out to? I truly believe you don't reach out to a friend who's going to tell you what you need to hear, they're going to tell you what you think you want to hear.
Yeah.
So tell me more about that.
So, and here's the problem. We don't actually ask for support, and we don't reach out to those that we need to reach out, because it's in a sense, and it's subconscious, it's saying, oh, if I ask for help, it means there's something wrong with me, and I don't want people to think that there's something wrong with me, right? Yeah. And that couldn't be more further from the truth. Every single successful entrepreneur and leader that I know, Donna, every single person that has made it, has had a whole team of people behind them. They wouldn't be where they are without that. And so that's the first thing. And especially women. For women, it's like the biggest thing, not asking for support. It's like, I don't know why we're doing this to ourselves. Like, get the support, because you will go, and there's this proverb that says something along the lines of, if you want to go fast or something, go alone. If you want to go further or far, go together. And we need each other now more than ever. Like, so when you ask who is it to reach out to, depending on what you need, there's therapists, there's mentors, there's coaches, there's there's a range of so many modalities out there that we can tap into, so much resources that are available. And if you don't know, ask. Like, you can ask yourself, they can reach out and ask me. We're here to support as well. So really.
And I do like, because I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs, Justin Herald was one of them, where he does, customer culture training and so forth. And he's been in small business for a long time. And like yourself, he also had said to people, reach out to me. Not for my coaching. If you need to talk, if you're in small business and you're really finding this hard, you reach out to me. I am here. And many did that, and I know you yourself did that. Anyone who needs support. And I even said, anyone who doesn't have a hot meal. I love cooking. I don't know how to cook small meals, so it's like, if you need some food, I'm happy to cook a big curry, or happy to cook a big soup, or whatever it might be. Just ask. And people really do have to ask. So on reflection, is there anything that you would do differently or think of in a different perspective?
No way, not a single moment, because everything that this year has given us and brought to us has had me rise up in the stronger leader that I am. And let me explain that a little, right? I honestly have not worked harder or been more focused on how to serve the world and my industry than right now. And yet still I'm in peace, and yet still I have my practices, and yet still I allow myself the grace to rest, right? So there's the work, and then there's the harmony. And I'm not claiming to be perfect on it at all, but I can tell you right now that all of my years, and tongue in cheek saying this, that having a business is literally your spiritual awakening. Having your business is the highest form of self-development work we could ever do. Otherwise, I don't know why we're even in this, because I don't know why we're doing, that to ourselves. But honestly, all of my years of personal development feel like they are paying off this year, because I've been able to maintain my peace no matter what's going on. And so crisis often reveals who we've been training to be, what levels of self-awareness and personal power we've chosen or not chosen. And essentially this is what's coming in. So does that make sense? So all of the past, everything that we've been through, it's almost like that's building us to go through what we're actually going through during this time of crisis. So,
and I really want our listeners to know that, like, this is Rosie, right? This is her authentic self. And she has taught all of us in the tribe. And I feel grateful and joyful every day doing what I'm doing. And we were talking before the session, and we talked about the fact that, yes, we feel overwhelmed at times, and that's normal. And yes, we can get a bit bogged down in stuff, but we can also rise above that and really be doing what our heart really desires.
Yeah.
And then it seems to come easier.
And it does. So what if, and here's the question, what if everything that's happening, these changes, actually push you to consider a different move or a different, way of stepping up as a leader or as a person that you need to be? What if everything that's happening is happening for you, not to you? What if our world needed to make change so badly, and this global pandemic and the crisis that we're in is the only way we would have listened long enough to make the changes that we need to make within ourselves to save us?
Yeah.
And sometimes fear happens because we're asking the wrong questions.
Yes.
Right? And I hope those who are listening with us today will actually consider a different lens, one of love, one of possibility, right? And so really, really seeing, and it's seeing the gift in what this is.
Yeah, and Dr. Wayne Dyer actually, he had said many times when someone got fired, well, that's fantastic. It was time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, like, I'm not being flippant and saying if you've lost your job and your income, that's a good thing. What I'm saying is there is always opportunity, and there is always a way for you to look at something from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to get outside of the fear and the overwhelm and whatever's going on for you. So, okay, so could you share for the listeners Rise and Thrive? What is Rise and Thrive?
So, well, it's in every sense of that title, isn't it? So Rise and Thrive is predominantly an intimate circle of women who come together, and we do the work and we heal from the inside out. So essentially it's really helping women go to their next level of success, and that happens with healing ourselves. So you are the key to success. So the moment that we heal your core wounds, the moment that we heal everything from the root, everything skyrockets from there. So abundance, money, all of those things that shape us, because essentially how we see life, Donna, is literally a mirror of how we see ourselves. So how we see relationships, money, others, approval, our businesses, all of that is a reflection of what's going on internally. And so with Rise and Thrive, it's doing that work. It's really basically peeling back all of those bullshit stories and limiting beliefs that are holding us back, being done with that, because essentially it's where our childhood programming comes through. And the moment that we heal from that, we're able to quantum leap into what our next level actually looks like. So
yes,
really powerful.
And so if you could describe who it is for and who it isn't for.
Sure.
And let me just start by just saying, it's not for you if you don't want to be called out on your bullshit, I can tell you.
Oh my goodness, that was like that, wasn't it? Okay, so this is for women who are ready, who are sick of their own bullshit, and who are ready to take their lives, their businesses, their health to the next level. So predominantly leaders and business owners, that's who the majority come. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a business owner, but if you're willing to be, and many women don't see themselves as leaders. So when I say, leaders, it's that you've got that within you and it needs to be developed, or that you want to step into your next leadership. Who it's not for, those that don't want to do the work. So because healing yourself is the key to exploding your business. It's the key to exploding your success.
Yeah.
And I don't know who said this, but someone said along the lines of running a successful business is child's play, literally. Heal the inner child and let her play. And
yes.
so that's essentially what we do in Rise.
I love that. That's beautiful. That is really a beautiful way to put it. And, you know, because you do, I know when I came to you to do Rise and Thrive, I was an exhausted mother, grandmother, nana, entrepreneur in every sense of the word, and really had to find my self-worth, my leadership again, my, you know, like so many lots of things. And I did have to go back and heal the inner child who was starlight, you know, and I remember a lot of the other women in the group as well, and we did the work. We really did the work. And I think that's what's really important. You've got to be prepared to do the work.
It is that, and it's a powerful container. So yeah, absolutely. And you said overwhelm, and then that's literally the symptoms that play out. So we've got the overwhelm, those who are procrastinating, self-doubt, sabotaging, limiting beliefs, money blocks, visibility fears. So this is essentially the women going, okay, I'm done. I want to be seen. I want this. Give it to me. And then they come in through. So much like yourself, Donna.
Yeah. And so if someone wanted to know more about Rise and Thrive and they're listening to the podcast, how do they, and you can be anywhere all over the world. You do not have to be in Australia. You can be anywhere. I think you've got clients in Holland, in the Philippines, Hawaii, Spain.
All over the world. Yes, I do. Yeah. So it can be anywhere because we do it via Zoom. So we meet in real time together every week, and basically happinesslifestyle.com.au, all the info's on there. We're actually just finishing this round off tomorrow. We're having a massive graduation together, which it's been incredible just to see those beautiful women just shift, huge shifts that have been happening for them. We did money last week, and the whole floodgates have opened, and they've noticed all this abundance coming in for them, which is just beautiful to witness. So
yeah, I guess you get a huge kick when everyone's saying, oh my God, here's a win. This is what's happened in the last week because I shifted this perspective, or whatever it might be. So do you think the Resilience Movement podcast can be a useful tool for entrepreneurs, leaders, and people who want to learn how to bounce back from adversity and live a joyful life?
Yeah, are you kidding? This is what it's all about. I think, you know, especially these people, us, we need this, because we would never be able to get to the level that we are without this valuable resource, hun. So yeah.
Thank you. I'm just so grateful I got you on. And, you know, guys, I'm going to share a really vulnerable moment for a minute here. I started my podcast in January of 2020, right? So I started in the chaos of the fires, and then the pandemic happened. And here I am going, oh, who's going to listen to my podcast? And one of the things that I realized was a limiting belief that I had, and I don't even know why I had this, is I didn't ask Rosie onto my podcast because I didn't think that my podcast was good enough for her to come on and talk about. Like, when I think about that, I realize how silly it is, and I'm very happy to share my silliness. And we were just celebrating beforehand because my podcast, The Resilience Movement, has just hit 500 downloads. So like, we're very, very silly. So we all have limiting beliefs. We all have doubts and fears, and, you know, and there's 4 things I keep on my computer, which I got from Rosie, which was self-love, self-worth, self-trust, and self-belief. And so that's why I'm doing my podcast, because I have all of those.
Yeah, that's it. Beautiful.
So thank you for coming on and sharing your insights. I really, really appreciate it. And thanks, guys, for listening and tuning into another episode of the Resilience Movement podcast. So till next time, bye for now.